Hi, I'm Ernie Wilson. For the past 35 or so summers, I have led wildflower trips for SUUSI Nature's staff. This summer, because of COVID-19, we can't do this, so I'm doing a virtual wildflower trip. We are going to go on the Blue Ridge Parkway virtually from Balsam Gap to Double Top Mountain Overlook, about 7 miles and 2,000 feet in elevation. In eastern North America, we have two blossoming. In spring, from late March to May, we have wildflowers that bloom in the woods, such as this bloodroot, especially before the canopy closes. We will not see bloodroot on our virtual tour. In June and July, there are fewer wildflowers in bloom. Here is one that you will see on the Blue Ridge Parkway. This is the white rhododendron. In August, especially late August, though, there is a second peak of blooming in the open fields. Here at WCU, we won't find many wildflowers blooming until August, but if we go to the Blue Ridge Parkway at higher elevations, because the blooming season is shorter, many of the fall wildflowers are already in bloom. At the highest altitudes, we will see even some late spring flowers. We will see 21 wildflowers. They are not the only ones in bloom, but these are the chief ones. We will stop at 5 overlooks and see some which are not at overlooks. The title slide for each plant is a little different color due to where the overlook is or if it's a roadside wildflower. For instance, this one, the white rhododendron, which we've already looked at. The second slide after the picture shows the scientific name, Rhododendron maximum, for this plant. So the white rhododendron and some facts about the rhododendron, or the plant that we have just viewed. Now, we will start on our virtual tour. What we have seen so far is merely the introduction. Here we are at the Balsam Gap entrance to the parkway, which is about 3,316 feet. Now there, along the roadside, we will see several wildflowers. The first of these is this white wildflower, which has the name New Jersey tea. The New Jersey tea was used as a substitute for tea, which couldn't be imported during the Revolutionary War, hence its name. This plant also has nitrogen-fixing nodules, which enrich the soil with ammonia. Next one we will see is this purple-flowered plant, the Virginia spiderwort. This was the first American wildflower to be cultivated in English gardens. It is named after John Tradescant, Charles I chief gardener. Rock skullcap is the third flower we will see on the roadside. It is scientific name is Scutellaria saxatilis. Scutellaria is a large genus of mints, many of which look alike. The small blue flowers resemble skullcap. Some of the species have a natural sedative in their leaves. We'll next go to the first of our overlooks, which is the Balsam Gap Overlook. And here we will see tall meadowroot. This elevation is 3,630 feet. The white-flowered tall meadowroot is unusual. As you can see from the close-up picture, the white color of the flower is due to the color of the stamens rather than the petals. We will go on to the second overlook, which is the next one along the parkway after the Balsam Gap Overlook. These are the wildflowers at Standing Rock Overlook. We will see here Turk's cap lily, tall coreopsis, bee balm, tall bellflower, and sundrops. The elevation here is 3,915 feet. The Turk's cap lily is bright orange or red lily. Here you see it. It's very common here and along the roadside. This native lily, which goes by the scientific name Lilium superbum, very apt I think, it is superb, is distinguished from other native lilies by the green star at the center of its petals. This flower, as I mentioned, occurs on the roadside also. The tall coreopsis is also here. Like all coreopsis, it's a yellow flower, but this one is mostly found in the mountains. The bee balm is this bright red mint. It has been adopted garden flower many times, and like the New Jersey tea, it was used as a tea substitute in the Revolutionary War. Its leaves can be used as a source of bergamot or Earl Grey tea. Tall bellflower is the large blue flower, which is at this overlook. This lovely flower is a biennial, blooming, dying, and setting seeds in the second year of life. In the first year, it appears at ground level as a rosette of leaves, and you probably wouldn't notice it. The sundrops is a really beautiful yellow flower. It is a close relative to the evening primrose, and hence it's classified in the genus Hemiptera. Now we're going to look at some wildflowers which we will see along the roadsides from Standing Rock Overlook to Hitachi Bald View Overlook. We're going to skip some overlooks while we do this. The first one is the purple-flowered raspberry, then the common dodder, then the evening primrose, and then the false sunflower. The purple-flowered raspberry is really a beautiful plant with its very, very large maple-like leaves. It has the distinctive large leaves and edible fruit. In fact, its scientific name, Rubus odoratus, means it is very pleasant smelling. It is almost entirely found in the mountains. You won't find it in the peat. We will see also a bright orange vine. This vine often has small white flowers on it. This is the common dodder. Common dodder is entirely a parasite. It lacks leaves, and when mature, also roots. Has no chlorophyll and doesn't carry on photosynthesis. Instead, it has projections called ostoria, which penetrate the cells of the plant it is growing on and absorbs nutrients from it. The evening primrose is a common yellow roadside wildflower. You have it probably back where you live. It blooms during the night. It is pollinated by moths, but you can see it in the morning. The false sunflower is also a yellow flower, very beautiful flower along the roadside. The false sunflower differs from the so-called true sunflowers because the base of its ray flowers, those are the flowers that appear like petals, contain shriveled stamens and pistils. The ray flowers of true sunflowers never have these. I, incidentally, like this plant better than the so-called true sunflower. Well, we're going to stop at another overlook. This is the Hitachi Bald View Overlook. We're going to see two flowers here, wild quinine and pale Indian plantain. The elevation here is 4,780 feet. The wild quinine is a very tall, white flower plant. As its name suggests, it has been used by Native Americans and European Americans for treatment of fever, sore throats, and colds. During World War I, the Army used it in place of quinine, which is used for treatment of malaria. This quinine came from the tropical cinchona trees that were not available during the war. The pale Indian plantain, a very large, tall, white-flowered wildflower, It has pale white under the leaves. It is one of the tallest wildflowers in our flora, reaching up to 10 feet in height. It has also been used as a medicinal plant. For instance, the Cherokee used the leaves as a poultice to clean wounds. Now we're going to pass through a tunnel and around several curves, and we'll arrive at the Grassy Ridge Mine overlook. The Grassy Ridge Mine was a mica mine which has now been closed. Here we will see 5 different wildflowers: green-headed coneflower, wild phlox, mountain mint, basil balm, and fire pink. The elevation here is 5,250 feet. The green-headed coneflower is a yellow flower with a very distinct green head. It can also be called green-eyed Susan because it belongs in the genus Rudbeckia, which is also the black-eyed Susan genus. This is a source of garden flowers called golden globe, which was a very popular Victorian garden plant. But a plant can be very aggressive in the garden. It took over the backyard of my daughter when I gave it to her. The wild phlox is also very common along the roadside. This is pink-purple flower. It is the source of the summer-blooming tall garden phlox. It is very common along the parkway. The mountain mint is also here. The flowers are relatively small and white, but the leaves often are scented. A number of similar species are here, though they're somewhat difficult to tell apart. As I mentioned, they often have fragrant leaves. The basil balm is also here. This is a close relative of the bee balm and the wild bergamot, but instead of having pink or red flowers, it has white flowers. It is generally not used as a garden flower as the bee balm and wild bergamot are, but it also can have the bergamot flavor, which is used in Earl Grey tea. The fire pink is the last of the flowers we will notice here at the Grassy Mine overlook. Fire pink is brilliant red. It occurs in both the woods and roadside at this point, and you can't help but notice it. This is a late spring wildflower that blooms in May in my area in the lowland. We will go to the next overlook, which is not even a mile away, and this one is called the Lick Log Gap Overlook. There is a field of wildflowers, mostly green-headed coneflower, with some basil balm there. Elevation here is 5,135 feet. Here is the beautiful meadow full of green-headed coneflowers and some basil balm. There are other things there also. I will go to the last overlook in our virtual wildflower tree. This is the double top mountain overlook. This is the end of our wildflower Odyssey. We would return to the campus after viewing flowers here. We're going to look at the wild hydrangea and the golden alexander. This is the top of our trip, and it has an elevation of 5,365 feet. The wild hydrangea is a shrub with small white flowers, such as you see here. Many garden hydrangeas are varieties of this native species. Hills of Snow is one such variety. This plant has 2 kinds of flowers. There is a fertile flower, such as on this shrub, which has only the fertile flowers. The flowers are very small. Some plants have larger sterile flowers in addition to the fertile ones. Varieties are selected which have only the large sterile flowers and set no seed. They are produced by cuttings. One such variety you may have heard of is called Hills of Snow. Lastly, we want to look at golden alexanders, which is this very beautiful yellow member of the carrot family. This is a spring flower blooming in July at this high altitude. Well, this is the end of our virtual trip. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you at the next SUUSI.